Hello, all, and welcome to a new episode of Comic Book Weekly. And we're actually starting on time because you know what? We were here at like 10:13, and we're like, why not start on time? Now, you might have noticed that Mike is not on this week. He did give advance notice to us, but he could not be on. But he'll be back on next week. So yeah, let's kind of jump into things. But first, Brant. Just as we wait for people to come in, I know you weren't here last week for half the show. And we kind of talked about the new DC titles. Was there anything you want to discuss with that new lineup? I know we're probably going to get more from those, but you excited about it?
I mean, I try to temper my expectations with stuff like this, right? So I'm trying to look through it now because I didn't really get a chance to look through it last week. I mean, Green Arrow. That's like we haven't seen Green Arrow for a long time, so that's something that's Joshua Williamson. So that's probably the one I'm most like anticipating because, like I said, we haven't seen a Green Arrow title for quite a while, and so yeah, I think that's like the main one, and Shazam by Wade and Mora, the creative team on World's Finest. So we've really been enjoying that book. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Shazam and that title. So.
And what other titles would you want to see? Because again, I think this is like only some of the books that they're showcasing. And I think they were books I was surprised by. I know they already announced the Superman books that separately, and then they have this. I mean, I would like to see a Teen Titans book because I feel like they've been, kind of in the spotlight with Nightwing.
Yeah, absolutely. Teen Titans or Young Justice, one of the two, just done. Not to pun, but justice, justice, yeah. And maybe a good Supergirl title would be nice as well. So I don't know what they have planned for the super family. So
I feel like the ones they announced with Action Comics, but I think Action Comics, from what I remember, they're like gonna do a couple family members. Like every issue is gonna focus on a different family member. So
yeah, I think
that could be interesting.
Yeah, I remember that now that you're saying it. But yeah, no, that's cool. And I mean, I'm always like trying out the Green Lantern stuff when they bring that out, so I'll try that out. Sometimes it doesn't hold my interest, sometimes it does, but it's been a while since a Green Lantern book has really done it for me, though. So fingers crossed.
Same.
Yeah, right.
And then also, before we jump into the news, we have our best comics of the year that we do every year, and they've been doing well. The polls have been doing well. They've been shared on Twitter and all that. And this week, I'm going to try featuring it. We are focusing on new characters, couples, friendship, breakout talent, and moments. We'll be doing this throughout the month of December and showcasing our favorite books that we talk about here every week. So if you guys want to vote for your favorite and see who the ultimate winner will be in probably beginning of January, go vote. We have a fun time with this. It's a cool way to kind of look back and see what's going on in comics. And it's also cool to look back like a couple of years ago to see what titles we were reading at the time and things we were really excited about. And maybe like a year later, they don't exist anymore.
Right. They don't exist, or they're not on our radar anymore too. It's like
yeah. Like I think Nightwing's a great example of that. I remember when that first came out, we were like, oh man, Nightwing is everything. And then I'm not saying Nightwing's not on the list, but it's not as much as it was.
Yeah, for sure. Like something, in the relationship thing, I think it fell on a couple of ours, Nightwing and Barbara.
I think all of ours actually.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it has fallen from grace a little bit. It was one of those titles is like, we can't, we're always excited for that one. Now it's like, that's Nightwing.
Yeah, it's there. We'll all pick it up.
Yeah. But I saw some of the creators talking about the best of on Instagram today. So that was cool. That was
on Instagram too?
Yeah.
That is really cool. I just saw the Twitter and it shared really well. So I'm glad I went on to Instagram. Seems like people we're excited about being featured, which again is what we like to do and just like show why we love these things. And I think what's been really interesting is that our taste has changed so much too. I feel like back in the day, like we'd always be like, oh, Marvel, DC, and that's it. And maybe like one indie. But now like most of our picks are like do a Power Bomb or Vanish. And I'm not saying Marvel and DC aren't there, but I like that we have a, more variety. And also, like, there's definitely books that we all like together, but then there's books that you might just read, or Mike might just read. And that's been interesting
Yeah.
to see on the list as well.
Yeah, it's like I was going through some of the picks for the upcoming weeks and just kind
Mhm.
of listing out some of those choices, and I'm like looking at like best new series or best mini series and stuff like that, and like the majority of them are indie stuff. And you just look, I've got like one or two Marvel on here, but like a bunch of just like Image and Dark Horse even and IDW and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see where the rest goes, and it's
Yeah.
just a fun thing to do, and I'm glad the creators have been liking it as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let's get into the news. So we only have one media news piece for this week, and this actually came out today, and that was the new Mario Brothers trailer. I wasn't originally going to see it, but then I realized that the first one was like a teaser trailer, and this is like a real trailer, and you kind of get more of the story. It looks fun. I still don't know how to feel about the voice acting. Like, I think that was definitely the biggest turnoff of the trailer, but I like Princess Peach. I like the vibe. It kind of has like this Disney adventure feel to it. But yeah, obviously you're gonna go see it.
I just watched it, and I yeah, the voice acting is a little odd. Especially Luigi sounded weird to me. Hey, Bronze Page. And but I like that they delved into a bunch of different facets of the Mario franchise. Like you had go-karts in there, you had Mario Kart, you had like different aspects of the whole history of Mario throughout that. So I did appreciate that, and it looked fun. So I'll definitely see it at some point. I don't, I'm always like one of those that doesn't always go see things at the theater, but eventually I will see this, whether it's in the theater or not.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
Just got to see it in the long run.
yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of movies, infamous Mike Manhattan says, "Did anyone see Strange Worlds? That's the new Disney movie."
Uh,
Not yet. We're like a little behind in our movies. We want to still see The Menu, and that's been out for a week or two. And Strange Worlds is getting very bad reviews. So I'm like, oh, I could like wait for this one. And we just saw Knives Out like 2 days ago. That was really good.
I
I like the first one a lot.
The last time I went to the movie theater, I think was the last Venom movie.
Oh
So
my god! I thought you were
it's
gonna
been a
say it was
while.
Knives Out.
No, it's been a while. Been a while.
Oh
Yeah.
man. I look, AMC Stubs has helped us go to the
Yeah.
movies. We try to see at least 2 movies a month because it
Mm.
makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, all right, you're paying because it's
Yeah.
like $25 or something, a little less than $25. And a movie ticket these days is about $20. So if you go see 2 movies a month, then it kind of pays for itself,
Yeah. Our car
which
was
is nice.
broke down for a long time. It was like in and out, and we had mechanics out to the house like 4 or 5 times. So it's just it's been one of those years. But we'll get back to it.
Yeah, when the car gets back in tune, then
Yeah. Yeah.
then we'll
Exactly.
be able to see some more movies. Tevius's Strange World is bombing. I think it's really
Mm.
interesting that as this is happening, first of all, I don't think it really was promoted. When I saw the name, I was like, where have I heard that from? And then I like searched the title of the movie. I was like, oh yeah, that's the new Disney movie. It's not been
Mm.
promoted. And then B, it's kind of interesting. This is kind of the last song of, well, maybe not the last song, but it's the end of the previous CEO, and now we're
Yeah.
getting to the new CEO. So it's kind of interesting
The
to see
new
this,
old CEO.
the new
Yeah.
old CEO. It's interesting to see like things transition, and this kind of be his last tune.
Yeah.
Does Mario have a Brooklyn accent in Super Mario Bros? Not that I really
Mm,
notice.
not that I really noticed either. I'd never heard of Strange World. I'm just now looking at it.
No,
I've
it's
never.
literally has not been
Yeah.
promoted. It's a new Disney movie, not promoted at all.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's not doing well.
Yeah. Mike just told us to have a good show and good night. So
Thank you.
good night, Mike, and thanks.
I'm sure he's resting well, hopefully. It was
Yeah.
interesting. I was talking to Phil about Strange World because we were gonna end up going see it, but he was like, "Oh, maybe it'll have like the Encanto effect where like it
Hmm.
goes on Disney Plus and it does a lot better." Because Encanto
Yeah.
didn't do great in the movie theaters. Like, I don't even think I got to see Encanto at the time in theaters because we weren't doing the AMC stubs because like in between of COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did a lot better on Disney Plus. So I think depending on when they put on Disney Plus, if they put it in like Christmas, maybe it'll do well, because that's why Encanto did well. Families are home and they were watching it.
Yeah, Encanto was one of my niece's favorites. She watched that over and over and over again. We heard those songs so many times.
That's so funny. I've only seen
Yeah.
it the one time, but the music. Oh, actually, I've seen it twice. I have seen it twice. I only focused on it once.
I've never seen it all the way through. I've just seen bits and pieces when we were watching her, and she was over here. That was one of the things that calmed her down. Is like that movie. There's certain movies throughout that have like had that effect on her, and that was definitely one of them.
I like the music more than the story for Encanto. I like the movie, and I like the story still, but I really like the music for it. Norin Rad says Avatar will bomb next. I'm curious to see how Avatar will do. I'm gonna see it. I saw the first one, so yeah, we'll see. Tevye says I thought Kanto was in the same day and movie. I thought the movie came a little earlier, but I do remember it not doing great in theaters, but doing well on Disney Plus either way. But Avatar, will you see it after the theaters, Brad? Did you see the original Avatar?
Yeah, I saw it. I didn't love it. The plot was a little thin for me, and it's like
And long.
It was fine. Yeah, it was.
My brother really likes it, which is why I'll probably end up seeing the second one.
Yeah, I don't remember if Lisa liked it or not, but yeah, I'll see it, but I'm not gonna go like out of my way to see it. So.
Tevye asks, any opinion on Turning Red not going to theaters? Not really. I mean, I just enjoyed the movie on Disney Plus. It didn't really matter to me where I'm like, oh, I gotta watch Turning Red on the big screen, but I like the movie a lot. I think it's probably one of Disney's best movies in a really, really long time. I liked it. Did you see Turning Red?
No, not yet.
That's a good one. All right, well, let's get into some comic news. First up, Black Panther and Namor teaming up. The only reason I wanted to talk about this is just like, Marvel likes doing stuff with the movies. So it's obvious with, Namor being a bigger player in Black Panther, which I won't spoil it because I'm sure Brant has not seen it yet. But he was a big part of that movie. He was likable in that movie, crazy enough, because he was not Namor from the comics. So he was just a very different character.
Yeah, I was really curious when I saw you mark this because I know how much you love Namor.
Oh, I love Namor. I will definitely not be getting the comic, but I think Namor in the movie character was nice. Gotcha. I think he was a good character there.
Yeah. What I did see was the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which was
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it yet?
Was it good?
I thought it was. I thought it was a lot of fun. Definitely in the spirit of Guardians, of course. And it wasn't too long. It was like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that and the horror one I still need to watch, and I do plan on watching one of these days. But I'm watching Dead to Me right now, finishing up the last season because I really like
Is that
the
good?
show.
I've been thinking about trying that.
Dead to Me, I criticize everything, but I legit think Dead to Me is the perfect television show. I see no flaws. It is a very good show, and it's also short. It's 10 episodes a season, and every episode's like 30 minutes. So,
I didn't realize it was a 30-minute. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Because it's like a black comedy, so it's a comedic show, kind of. But it's really good. I very much recommend it.
Nice.
If I'm watching it, it has to be good enough
to
do it.
Right.
All right, let's move on to the next comic news piece, which is Klaus is getting a hardcover on Kickstarter. We've been seeing a lot of publishers do this now. Interesting move to do it during Christmas. Like, I get it, but also that is the hardest time on Kickstarter.
Yeah, and it's not going to ship until next November, so you got to wait a whole year for it. But I'm a big fan of the series, and this is like a hardcover collection of everything, and I think they have like different editions, and they have like a slipcase version. I just got the lowest one. I just wanted it, and it's cool for fans of it, and it's doing really well. So it does suck waiting so long for it, and they're also charging shipping after the campaign, so you don't know how much that's going to be, and I'm not going to expect it because it's going to hit like right around Christmas time next year. So it's like, oh yeah, there's this, but I'm still excited for it though.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you're picking up. I just saw it was $100,000 they're close to, so that's pretty cool.
It's a short campaign too. I think they only run it for like 18 days or something like that.
Yeah, which good for them. You don't want to get like too
Yeah.
far into Christmas. Infamous Mike Manhattan says, when is Morrison and Moore going to make a new Klaus series? It's been 3 years. On Mora's side, he's doing 2 series at DC.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And he's doing the TMNT book with
Right.
and the Power Rangers. So I don't know. He must be very fast.
Yeah, I don't know, and he's doing variant covers here and there too. So
Mm,
I think he's very busy at the moment. So who knows? I hope we do see another one sometime soon, though. That would be
at
nice.
some point.
Yeah.
So moving on to Hellcat getting her own ongoing and kind of mentioning that she's going to be like the center of the Marvel universe. It's the same writer who's was doing the Iron Man stuff,
Yeah.
which I enjoyed for a while. And honestly, the best part of that book was Hellcat. So I'll pick it up. I'm curious, and he obviously likes the character a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited for Hellcat. I'm excited for like some of the characters they were going to bring, like Sleepwalker and different characters that I like. I don't love the art. I'm not a big fan of that art. It was New Mutants. It was one of the New Mutants artists.
Yeah, it's very
And
dark.
yeah, and like very stylized. It's just not my taste. So I guess, I'll try it out and see if the story's, good enough to keep me. And hopefully I'm wrong. The artist proves me wrong, and I love it. So we'll see. But I'll try.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into our main topic of this week, which is Superman and Superboy / Superman, who knows what they're calling him these days, are getting their secret identity back. And I know most people are like probably hip hip hooray. It's like him getting his underwear out, outside of his clothes back. But I'm tired. Like, no, it's just like I feel like we've done that before. We've done the secret identity story before. This has only been done for about a year. Like, I think it's stupid to go back. And also, it goes back to where people always say, like, I don't read superhero comics anymore because nothing matters. Like, you read something and it always goes back to status quo. And this made me feel that way, where I'm like, yeah, maybe nothing does matter. Maybe nothing actually does change. And it's like, don't you want that character development? Don't you want, like, something to progress these characters and bring us to 2023? I did not like this news piece, or at least news.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, okay. When I saw that news, it was like, yeah, eventually it was going to go back that way. Every time they reveal a secret identity, they always find a way to put it back in the box. Yeah, exactly. Spider-Man. To your point, though, it hasn't been long enough for this to matter as much. And it's like, why now? It's like, I get it. You realize you made a mistake. Maybe you shouldn't have outed Superman and all that stuff. And now you're going to try to undo it. But it's like, I don't know, as public of figures as they are in the current DC, it just seems nonsensical to take that away so soon. And I agree with you. Things like that make it mean less and make it not matter, and that is frustrating. And
what do you do with this? Who are you hiding it from these days?
Right.
Like, why does it matter?
Yeah, it's like Lex Luthor's going to figure it out again anyway, so who cares? That's like the main one you're hiding it from, right? He's always Superman's go-to big bad. Looks like we get a super chat. So.
Yeah, thank you so much for the $10. I could finally give Brant a free comic, but I got to work. I'll watch on the rewind. Thank you so much for the $10 and the free comic, especially these days. $10, you probably get one comic with it.
Maybe, yeah, for sure. Thank you, that appreciate that. But yeah, no, it's I don't know. It's like every time I hear a secret identity thing, it's like if comics really meant something, and if things stuck, and if it was like this big, huge thing that we hadn't seen before, it might be something. But yeah, with Superman, it's like, just put the glasses.
And again,
on. We're good.
Yeah, it goes, but it also goes back to like, yeah, why this is a thing that just doesn't matter that much. It's just like, I don't know. It's weird. It's like the only thing that doesn't change is Mary Jane and we got another super chat. I'll answer that in a second. The only thing that doesn't go back is Mary Jane and Peter Parker's marriage.
The one thing that should go back, but anyway,
right? Supreme Omega, $2. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
One
you.
more day in New 52 showed that continuity means nothing. Well, yeah, which we were just mentioning. It's so true. I mean, there's certain things that like Harley Quinn, right? She wasn't a character that always existed, and now she's part of the mythos, or Tim Drake. There's new characters that have stayed and done stuff like that. And I would say maybe Damien's growth, I think we've seen the most staying power with. Also, Alfred's death. I mean, they've always tried to revert that, but that's been a while that Alfred's been dead. And honestly, I've enjoyed that plot point because you get to see the Bat family actually deal with it.
Yeah, I think it can matter. I think it just takes the right creative teams and editorial that want to stick with it for a long term and not just get we need to sell some Superman books. So let's do something big. And
they're doing a lot to try to sell Superman books. They've been putting a spotlight on him.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest tell for things like this, and when continuity really doesn't matter, is when they just need to sell a certain character and renew copyright, trademarks, and all that stuff when it comes time for that. Yeah, I don't know. I wish it did matter more, and I wish like Uncle Ben, that stuck. Barry Allen stuck. Stuff like that is long lasting, means something, and when they do reverse it, or when they do go put something back in a box, it actually impacts something, as opposed to something like this where it's like, wasn't it just like I don't know how long ago it was that he outed himself, but it was like, wasn't that long ago. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
When Bendis was on Superman, which was maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
It wasn't long ago at all. We do have another question from infamous Mike Manhattan. Has anyone seen Wednesday on Netflix? I've heard that it's around, and I like Jenna Ortega, but I also heard it was very Sabrina-esque in the regard of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which I didn't really like. So it doesn't look up my speed, but again, love Jenna Ortega.
I am definitely going to check it out. I have not watched it yet. That's another one of those that's Lisa and I together, and we don't get often to watch stuff together. So when we do, it's like, okay, what are we going to watch tonight? And that hasn't made it to the rotation yet, but it's on the list.
What is on the rotation right now?
What is Guardians was the last time we watched together. Let's see. We recently finished Devil in Ohio. We're a little behind on She-Hulk. What are we watching now? I forget what we're watching. I think we're going to circle back to Rings of Power soon. I think we might try to watch the Harry Potter movies this year, because we've said we're going to do that every year for the past 8 years. So we haven't done it yet. I don't know what's currently in the rotation. We like, every time we try to go to watch something, like, what do we want to watch tonight? I think we're watching Inside. Is it Inside Man? Is that the David Tennant thing that's on Netflix?
Oh, I haven't even heard that one.
Yeah, that's one of them. I don't know. There's a bunch of things, and we just keep going back and forth. Usually we're low on time, so we just watch like whatever new episode of Welcome to Flatch is a sitcom that's on right now. We watch that. I don't know. Different stuff.
All shows that seem very under the radar. They're not like, oh, I'm watching Abbott Elementary.
Yeah. I mean, there's some known stuff, but yeah, I don't know. It's just whatever we're in the mood for, and we rarely agree on that. So it's like, what can we both tolerate tonight? So,
makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get into the comics, I know you have you do kind of have a Kickstarter coming up if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when we're going to launch this yet, but I will put the link in there real quick. But we are actually thinking about debuting another new product on this same Kickstarter, but we're still talking about that, so I'm not ready to say what that is yet. But yeah, there it goes. So I should have probably brought the screen up, but we do have a pre-launch page at that URL, torchnightgames.com/diamond. We are doing DIY like diamond paintings and stuff, but we're also going to have our puzzles and our comic books up there. So if you have missed any of our campaigns across any of our brands, you'll be able to get everything there. So check that out. hopefully launching sometime this month. If not, it'll be early in the new year. Just trying to get some fulfillment stuff out of the way first. But yeah, check that out.
Feel you on the fulfillment. I think we have like
Right.
1,000 packages to fulfill, and I'm not joking about
Yeah.
that. Which has been fun to try to do that, but we've been chugging along. But also, obviously, a reminder: best comics, go and vote for the best comics of the year. That way, you have your voice part of this as well. So this is part 2 of best comics, and every week until January, we will be debuting that. But let's get into it. Let's get into the comics this week.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So, that's not the right banner. There it is. Big books and top 5. Sorry. Let's see. What were we talking about first? We are going to talk about The Amazing Spider-Man number 14, what we were kind of talking about last week a little bit with Hallow's Eve. And
yeah, it was what we didn't want.
Yeah, exactly. It was exactly what we predicted that was probably going to happen, that we weren't over the moon about. That said, I guess we should say who Hallow's Eve is. If you haven't read it, minor spoilers here, but Hallow's Eve turns out to be Janine, which has been Riley's girlfriend. The predictable route, again, with the Amazing Spider-Man, unfortunately. But I thought the reveal was handled well. I actually did enjoy the issue itself. I don't know if you did or not. It was interesting.
Wasn't my favorite.
For me, it was a little better than what we had been getting, but and the different art styles we get to see here, different creative teams throughout, well, at least different artists throughout. And as we went through the seasons, I thought it was a fun little way to bring it about, and an interesting and a way that made sense to bring Madeline Pryor into it. I appreciated that, but yeah.
I just don't like Ben. So it's like, oh, I don't care about him and Shazam. I really don't care about his girlfriend. So it's just like, again, just has to do with personal preference. Just not a huge fan. But I mean, I'll obviously be reading Spider-Man. I'll probably pick up the first issue of Hallow's Eve to see what it's all about. But yeah, I thought they could have done a lot more interesting stuff with this than they did.
I agree. I think there are other characters, like we talked about last week, that could have been more interesting, Liz Allen being one of them. But hopefully they'll do something fun with the character. Either way, we'll just see. I love Ben Reilly. I don't love this version of Ben Reilly. I don't love the way they've handled Ben Reilly since he came back. I would like to see classic Ben Reilly and just stop messing with him. But I don't think we're ever going to get that again. So get what we got. So there it is. But definitely, as we're going through these, by the way, let us know in the comments like what your thoughts are on these books and what your top 5. And it looks like we actually have another super chat. So
we do. Yes. This $5 from Supreme Omega. Thank you so much. Should bad stories be in canon? Because I just read War Games, and that did that did do Stephanie real dirty. However, the 2009 Batgirl used it to tell better stories. That's why I think stories could be in canon. I mean, you look at things like The Killing Joke, which did horrible things to Batgirl, but made it one of her most powerful stories. So I believe things should be canon and then reworked.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think you get the right writer tackling those storylines, and they can make something different, make something powerful, like the story that was told about Batgirl after the fact. So, yeah, I agree.
Or just keep Batgirl stories in canon, I guess, is the answer to that question.
Well, that too, but yeah. All right, so moving on to the next book, let's talk about Dark Crisis, the Dark Army number 1. I know this was something that you were anticipating. What'd you think of it?
Maybe I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have. It just, I was expecting this to be more of a lead up to what was going to happen in the DC universe, but this definitely was like, no, we're tying into Dark Crisis, which it's kind of boring. The plot of Dark Crisis is kind of boring in my opinion.
Hmm.
So I'm like, all right, I don't really care about the in between pages of it all, and that's what it was. And I thought maybe
Yeah.
this Red Canary character would do something, but she was just one voice out of like 7. Even Sideways was in this, but
Yeah.
there wasn't real personality in the issue. Sadly, there was 3 writers on this book. It
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
just one writer.
This book felt like these are all the characters that we need to throw in this story, other place to put them. So let's put them in this book. And it was very tied to like the original Crisis too, and especially with Power Girl and that whole thing. So I didn't love it either. It was just like it's okay. It felt like this could have been like a handful of pages in the main series, and we didn't need the whole thing. But I agree with you that that character didn't really like. I didn't really understand why she was even there. It was like she didn't do much, and it was like I don't know. She was very out of her depth in this story. So unfortunately,
I don't know if it'll be the last time we see her, but it might be.
it could be. Yeah, for sure. We'll see how that goes. And then our next book is Vanish #3, which I'm still loving the series. And did you read this one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you did.
I like
Okay.
this series. I think if
Yeah.
I was more of a hardcore 90s Image fan, I'd be like, I love this
Mm,
series, but I like it, and I'm curious to see where it's gonna go. I like the twin battle. I thought was interesting in this one.
yeah.
I do think the character journey is slow though. It is a lot about like let's build this world, and I maybe it's like a crossover effect because when crossover was also pretty slow. It took
Yeah.
like every 10 issues something big would happen, then as you got to the end like every issue was great, but
Right.
it's a slow series, it's a slow burn, but the artwork's so good for this book, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with it for a little while because again that's what they do. It
Yeah.
really is like it's going to explode at some point, but I'm also a little scared that I have to be a fan of like the darkness and series like that to love this because it just has
Mm,
such a celebration of old school Image that I feel like as someone who hasn't read that much 90s Image stuff, it's just like okay, cool, I guess.
okay. Yeah. No, I can appreciate that. I I don't know. I fell in love with the concept of this book from issue 1, so I love it. I don't think it has quite captured what issue 1 did for me yet, but I'm
Yeah,
still
issue
loving
1
it.
was better.
Yeah, but the action and the brutality definitely took a step up in this issue,
Mhm.
and like I mean, he cut off his own hand, which I always question that after Walking Dead. It's like, did we really need to see that happen? But we'll see how that plays out as well. But yeah, I don't know where this is gonna go ultimately for our main character though. So it's like right now he's just trying to hunt them all down, and it just like we're thrown right into that, and that's what it's been every issue. I do want to see a little bit more progression. I want to see more of his relationship with his girlfriend or whatever she is to him, and kind of flesh that out a little bit, and maybe back away from that action for a little bit so we can get more of that character work in there. But yeah, I'm still loving it.
It it's also a very magic driven series, which
Yes.
has been interesting because it's like in the background that it's magic. They don't really
Yeah.
do much with it, which I'm fine
Right.
with because I don't care about magic that much. But I guess it's kind of in the vein of like Witchblade, where it's like there is magic in this, but it's not that magicy.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's like it started off with like oh, this could be a Harry Potter world, but we're putting this all on the superhero guys. So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
very Witchbladey. Yeah, I agree with that. So let's get into our number fives then. What was your number 5, Cat?
Mine was honestly out of default, but Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, issue 1. I gave it a shot just because I wasn't getting a lot of books this week, and it was a new indie book from Jason Aaron. I don't think I've ever read an indie book from Jason Aaron, so I'm like, oh, let's give this a shot. I think the world that was built was interesting. I think they're like the post-apocalyptic world was cool, but the love story wasn't really there for me. I didn't really care about any of the characters, so I'm like, all right, it was fine.
I actually like the characters. I didn't expect the way it ended, and
Mhm.
obviously, there's going to be more development of their relationship going forward because of the way it ended. But I actually really I enjoyed the issue quite a bit more than I thought I would. Like when I first looked at it, I was like, post-apocalyptic world. We've seen a bunch of these, especially recently. Um, But yeah, I thought it was a fun story, and I thought it was interesting that these two characters somehow like changed the world. That's kind of our lead into it. It was like one decision changed the whole world for everything, and I'm willing to try it out for a little bit and see exactly how they change the world. So we'll see what happens with it though. My number 5 was 8 Billion Genies, number 6. Not my favorite issue of the story, but it's I enjoy the series. It's fun. It's the whole world is going crazy. This particular issue explored the first 8 years after the genies, so a lot has changed. A bunch of people have left that tavern that they were in for a while. Now there's like all these different communities. They're supposed to be safe havens, but they're at war with each other, and so people are having to decide how they go. And to get into most of these, you have to either have certain skills fit the community or give up your genie to the cause or whatever. And so in this one, the characters that we got introduced in the first issue that are a band, they were trying to get into this place called Fun City.
That. Yeah.
Yes. So they're trying to get into Fun City where they had to audition as a band, but ultimately they were like, well, if you don't have a genie, we don't want you. So it was interesting the way that they decided the girl had given up her genie in the first issue. She had made her wish and it was a failed wish. And the two guys decided, we're going to kind of use one of our wishes to make the last genie all 3 of our genies so that they could all be admitted to the city. And that, I thought that was touching, so they were all still together, those 3. But that was the bulk of this issue. So it was fun. So there you go. that's my number 5. I am talking a lot. I am going to take a drink now.
You're allowed to talk a lot.
Yeah, I'm getting
you are moderating too.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not used to talking this much. Because there's usually 3 of us, and I come in last usually, and I'm just like, let me move up this show on a little bit. I'm not used to talking as much, but yeah. Let's talk about our next big book though, which is X-Men number 17, which you did not read, so I'm going to be very brief on this one. This went back to the vault. We've been back in the vault for a couple of issues. Yeah. They went in to rescue Darwin. Started. Yeah, exactly. Way back when. But they went in last issue, I think it was last issue, to rescue Darwin, who had got left behind. So in the process, they discovered at the end of the last issue that Wolverine, that version of Wolverine, is still in there, even though we have young Wolverine out now, Laura Wolverine. But the old version that fell in love with Sync in the vault is still alive and still kept there. And so by the end of this issue, they get her out and she reunites with Sync. And so now we've got 2 Lauras running around. Don't know how that's going to play out and everything, but it was an okay issue. It was fine. I'm glad we're done with the vault now, at least for now, so we can move on to other stories. But, Darwin ultimately decided to stay in the vault for whatever reason. But yeah, we got 2 Lauras now, and
they
need
to go back to the vault. That's why they're like, we need an excuse to go back.
Exactly, yeah. But I'm just glad because Sync was all mopey because Laura didn't have her memories from the vault, so she didn't know that she was in love with Sync. So now we've got, I don't know. We'll see what happens when the 2 Lauras come face to face, though. Anyway, Action Comics I also read.
I'm surprised you're still reading that one. I wanted to jump on again, but yeah. I'm going to maybe jump on with this new thing with Action Comics.
Because I had already started the lead up and it's like crossing over with Son of Kal-El, so I was like, I'll just keep reading Action. Why not? It was okay. If you read the past couple of issues of Action, it's basically the same thing. It's the whole thing with Metallo. And Luther kind of pulling the strings there and trying to get him back into the fray to take out Superman. It was just point A to point B kind of story. It was okay. So let's talk about something we both read though, which is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 102. What did you think?
I like this series. Okay. Yeah, no, I really, cool. I've been surprised because I was like, oh, Ryan Parrott, how can you follow up that? But I've been liking the direction. It kind of feels like it's been written by him. Not to take away from Melissa's voice, but like it's the same format. Like it opens up with a flashback and it has to do with, Matt staying behind. I think this is a great run so far.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this issue as well. I'm enjoying the whole run as well. This was the last book I actually read this right before we came on, so it's pretty fresh in my mind. But I like that they kind of went back to Matt's beginnings in this in a flashback, and then that made his sacrifice in this issue more meaningful and more powerful. I appreciated the way the whole story was structured, and the art is really beautiful as well. And the way they've handled Rita coming back and how powerful she is has been really good as well. So I think they've managed to pick up the threads from the last run and just kind of go with it, and it's still seamless, even though it's slightly different. I think like that first issue of this particular creative team was like, okay, it feels similar. You can still feel the difference, but as it's gone on, I feel like it's been more seamless, and it's like there's no disconnect for me now at all. So, I'm really enjoying it.
I definitely agree.
Yeah. All right. So, do we have any comments, or should we go on to our number 4?
Let me see if there are. Are you guys specking on any books series? Can I get your thoughts on Eve issue 1 from Boom? I'm not a big spec person, so I'm not really specking anything. I'm looking up Eve issue 1. I don't have any opinions on this. Like I've seen the cover before, but don't know much about it. So don't have any speculations on that one. You know about that one from Boom?
No, I do not. I'm gonna look it up though.
I'm buying Eve, but it's the second series for the character. Also,
okay. Okay, I read the first couple. I've read a couple of issues of the first series of this character. I thought maybe it was something different. I think I fell off of it because like the first issue I thought was interesting, but the second one kind of lost me a little bit. So yeah, I don't have much to say about it going forward.
Those are all the comments I'm seeing right now. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We'll do some Q&A.
Yeah. So let's get into our number 4s then. My number 4 is Daredevil, issue number 5.
I feel like it's really picked up this series.
Yeah. I enjoyed this one. We start off with Matt in therapy, talking about all he has to do and how, the question of whether this is actually God's will or if it's Matt's will. And I thought that was a kind of a powerful inward conundrum for him. But ultimately, he does feel like he's in the right place, doing the right thing, and kind of gathering his troops together to take on the Hand. And so it was a nice little beat in between, like what's going on in Punisher, where they're confronting each other and just kind of stepping back and taking stock of everything and gathering everything together. But yeah, I thought I definitely think the pacing of the book has gotten back on track a little bit for me. So what'd you think?
No, I totally agree. I thought this was a really solid issue. Like you were saying, I think their organization that they're kind of making here has been a very little interesting corner of Marvel. Interested to see what Elektra and Matt's relationship is going to be. I like that. It's kind of also feels tying into Punisher because of like they're both kind of doing similar things. So I like when the Marvel universe feels a little bit connected.
Yeah, and with both of them gathering armies, and it's going to blow up, and you can't
probably
imagine.
Vanish will come.
I was about to say you can't imagine the rest of the Marvel universe are not going to notice a big war between Punisher and Daredevil. So I'm curious to see how that plays out, and hopefully it'll be better than Devil's Reign. So.
We can only hope.
Yeah. All right. Going into our next discussion, which was Daredevil. So we've already talked about that. Punchline: The Gotham Game, number 2. I'm reading this. I don't know why. I still like Punchline, and I like that she's kind of commissioned the Royal Flush Gang, but the Royal Flush Gang are still the Royal Flush Gang, so it's just like, okay. I was hoping that they would level them up, and I think they tried to start to do that in issue 1, but here it just felt like the same cheesy Royal Flush game that we've always gotten, and I was a little disappointed with this issue. So whether I continue or not is debatable. We'll see what the week is like when issue 3 comes out. So
yeah, I'm glad I didn't pick it up.
Yeah. And so let's get into our number 3s. Mine was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, so we already talked about that.
Mine was Vanish. We already talked about it.
Nice. So another book that only I read, Star Wars Yoda. Interesting little side story. I try these when it's a character that I really like, and I just try the first issue. It was like this random planet that's this alien race that I'm not familiar with, that I haven't seen before. Maybe others have, I haven't. And they're just being like attacked by this other faction over and over again. Like 3 days in a row, they've had raiders come in and try to take them over. And so they've like messaged the Jedi Council for help. And Yoda decides, I'm going to go. And he goes there and he fights them off, and he's like, I'm going to stay. And so he's just like staying there to help them and become part of their community. And the Jedi Council's not really crazy about this. And I thought it was fun because it was one of the rare moments we get to see Yoda in action and fighting. And so I always appreciate that. So it was a fun.
Who's writing Yoda? Is it like the same person's writing Star Wars? Is another person so disconnected to Star Wars?
Yeah, I don't remember, and I don't have it in front of me at the moment. Let me check it out real quick. It is Kevin Scott, who has been writing a bunch lately. I think he's writing a Dark Horse series, The Ward, I think. And I don't know. I've seen like several titles by Kevin Scott recently, in recent memory.
Up-and-comer then.
Exactly, yeah. So it was a pretty solid read, though. All right, so next up, we already talked about Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, so we'll move right into our number 2s. What was your number 2, Kat?
Mine was Daredevil. We already talked about it.
Mine was actually Amazing Spider-Man. I did enjoy that story, so.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. And we already talked about 8 Billion Genies, so let's talk about Midnight Suns. What did you think about this issue?
It's been fine. There's moments that I like I like the Nico and Ileana interaction. I thought that was good, and we'll see where it ends up going. But I do think the first issue has been the most solid. I feel like now there's like going on the adventure, and there's just like, here's some side talking. Here's, a future version of Doctor Strange. It's fine. Like, I'm definitely going to pick up the next issue, see where this goes. I want to see, I'm hoping we see Carolina, if I'm not lying. They keep mentioning this staff, so I feel like they got to see each other at some point. And I like Nico a lot. If Nico wasn't in this, I don't think I would continue to read it, but because of her, I'll continue.
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way. Issue 1 I thought was really good. Issue 2 I was like, it's okay. And this one was a little better than issue 2 for me, but still just okay. But I agree, some of the interactions are fun. I want to see more of that, and we'll see how it goes. I'll keep reading it though. All right, so my no, that's not where we're at. We're just talking about a book. So let's go on to our number 1s. So now my number 1 was a Vanish. So we already talked about that.
Not Midnight Suns. Okay.
No, definitely not Midnight Suns.
Mine was Power Rangers. We already talked about it. Just think it's a super solid book. And honestly, I want to say it's a good jumping on point, but maybe it's not. I was like, honestly, it's a great jumping on point because it's a new creative team. I'm thinking like, oh, maybe you won't know who Matt is, but I feel like they describe it enough. I feel like you need to know the bare bones of Power Rangers, but I don't think they're like throwing that much at you.
No, I think if you know the original Power Rangers, they gave enough of a flashback to introduce you to Matt in this issue. So picking it up from was it 100 was the first one, or 101?
101.
Yeah, 101. So yeah, picking up with 101, it'd be better if you knew a little bit more about what was going on right now, because it does continue. But if you, like you said, Kat, if you know the base Power Ranger stuff, you'll probably be able to pick up.
Which I don't think Power Rangers is that big of a post. There's the bad guys and there's the good guys. I think it's pretty easy to jump on. It's not Star Wars. There's they're just Power Rangers. But it's a fun book, and I'm happy to see, because I was a little worried because I know we had that other Power Ranger series that we both were kind of lukewarm on, and we're like, oh, Mace, just Ryan Parrott that we really like. And then this was here, and I was like, oh, never mind. Like, it's still doing its thing. I don't think we have the other Power Ranger series anymore, though. I think this is the only one from I guess what I've been seeing, which is nice too.
Right. Yeah, I think they combined it. Yeah, so good stuff. We got a little time, so we still have most anticipated to do, which we will jump into. But if you guys have any questions or comments, definitely leave them. So let's get into most anticipated. Just looking over this real quick to see if we have one overlap. So
it's weird too, because it's like a second Wednesday, because usually that means like no books are coming out. So I think it's hysterical. That's the week we only have one in common.
Right. All right. So let's talk about, because that is our overlap book, let's go with your top three here.
Yeah. So number 3 for me is Just Society of America. I actually really liked the one shot. I really liked Helena's point of view. I don't think you were on for that week, right, Brand?
No, but I did read it. And I did enjoy it.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay. I should say I was pleasantly surprised, but Jeff Johns is writing it, so I'm not too pleasantly. Like, it's just like, all right, like I know it's going to be good. It is very new reader friendly if you don't know anything about the JSA, which is nice because it is kind of more, I would say, a cult book. I mean, it's a known franchise, but it's not everyone's favorite title. So it's nice that they kind of explain things and use Helena as a base. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to utilize her in the actual series. Number 2 for me is Batgirls, because Cassie has to deal with, I believe, Clue Master, and then vice versa. Steph is going to deal with Lady Shiva. So I'm like, oh, that's like a fun way to use their friendship there. So, and I also like one and done. So when it comes to Batgirls, hopefully this will be like a beginning, middle, and end, because it's an annual. And then number 1 for me is Legend of Korra, Patterns of Time. It's a short story anthology type thing, but we haven't had a Legend of Korra story in a couple of years. So it'll be nice to get some new content.
Nice. All right. So mine are Nightwing 2022 annual, just because we're finally going to get the wrap up of the Heartless thing. Like we're finding out who Heartless is and what their whole purpose is. So it's like, it's weird that we're getting that in the annual instead of the main series. But yeah, this book has been a little bit all over the place, but I'm still curious about Heartless. So we'll see how that goes. Justice Society, of course, for the same reasons that you mentioned. And then my number 1 is Strange Academy Finals, issued number 2. Really enjoyed that first issue. Things are really picking up, and it looks like there might be some dissension in the ranks. So I'm curious to see if everybody's going to stay on their respective sides, or if things are going to heat up and people are going to abandon ship. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is all going to come to a head very soon. So excited for that.
Are you getting a lot of books tomorrow, or are you?
I don't think a lot.
7, I think. No, 8. I'm getting 8, which is not a horrible number for me.
Yeah,
it's just like a lot of expensive books.
Yeah, I usually end up getting more than you. Did I go to the wrong place? Yeah, I went to the wrong place. Let's see. I will tell you in a second if you want to take a look at the comments.
Yeah. Consensual Sense Slot says, I'm not excited about this week in comics per se. Yeah, no, it's the last Wednesday, 5th Wednesday situation. So I was talking to the people at my workers at my comic book store, and we were saying like, man, like, why didn't they switch it up? I know it's always like the 5th Wednesday they have to have the lease, but why didn't they do that for Thanksgiving when less people are going to the comic book store and do like this week's books for or last week's book for this week?
Right. I think I'm getting about 15 or so.
That's definitely a good amount.
Yeah, that's what I read this week, actually. So, yeah, about the same, I guess, then.
Just more expensive this week.
Yeah.
Because there's just like the special, and I think Planet Hulk is coming out. I think that's the only Marvel book I'm getting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that bill will be tomorrow. But yeah, it seems like that's all the comments we got. So I guess we'll finish early. And thank you guys for watching. And hopefully next week we'll have everybody on, just talk about annuals and hopefully some big news pieces as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brent, do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about?
Not necessarily coming up aside from the pre-launch for the Kickstarter page that I talked about earlier in the show. You can go check that out, torchnightgames.com/diamond. Had to think for a minute. But I also put a new video up on Only Good Comics yesterday, which was talking about Rogues Gallery. So if you're a fan of that series, or if you've been curious about that series, you can go listen to my thoughts over on onlygoodcomics.com. And I'm really trying to get a new video up every Monday. So stay tuned to that channel for more videos from me.
Awesome. And for me, honestly, not much going on. We'll have answer Chevia's question in a second. But yeah, honestly, all that's really going on is check out my top 10 most anticipated books for the month. Got a lot of stuff going on with Slice of Life. We're on Zest World. We're on Tapas. We're on a lot of awesome platforms. So check us out there on Zest World. I guess that's kind of a cool thing. So Zest World, if you guys haven't heard of it, it's like a webcomic platform. And Slice of Life just joined it. And, you know, you have like Peter J. Tomasi, Joel Jones, Dave Marquez. And it's funny that like Slice of Life is the #1 trending book of Zest World, right above David Marquez's book. So I thought that was pretty cool. So go check out Slice of Life on there if you want to see more. Because with the web comic version, the webtoon version, we slice it up. So we slice it up in parts. And this version, you get to see like the chapter all the way through. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, so go check that out. And then Debbie asks, "What's your favorite comic of 2022?" The way to answer that is check out Best Comics of the Year, because we will be doing our listing for that. And that's usually our favorite comic, our favorite single issue, and our favorite series is in that last post. Because, you know, that's what everyone's anticipating.
Absolutely. Yeah. So stay tuned. Comicfrontline.com.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned to it. And also subscribe, you know, press that bell. So that way you get notified. We have social media for as long as social media is around, and like this video, because it really does help us. And yeah, definitely get to see you guys next week, and see you in the next one. Bye.